Hi everyone, my name is Laurie. Welcome to the Full-Time Show. I'm here with my boy Frank, and I'll try and be brief, but we all know the result by now. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 2. That's our last 3 games, 3 defeats, 61 shots and 1 goal in that time period. And during that time, we've lost ground in the title race, and we're also now out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round. Frank, what do you make of it?
I said it in my fan cam, and I'll say it again. It's the hope that kills you as an Arsenal fan, really.
I think you're being kind with that.
Normally I'm here and I'm always optimistic, but over the last few games, or maybe even since Christmas, that's sort of been drained out of me, because we were in such a good position going into the new year. Christmas, top of the table at Christmas. This is now going to be, if we don't win the league this year, it's the 6th time in our history that we've been top at Christmas and not won the league. That isn't good enough. This is Arsenal FC. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world, and once you're in these positions, you need to, capitalise and take advantage of the fact that you're in these positions, and get into got to win these games ultimately. I
must say, Frank, I've got to say this, mate. I think you're being far too level-headed, because for me, I've got to say this straight up. This is how I feel. Maybe I'm being slightly reactionary, but this is my honest feeling at this point. I'll be interested to hear what the callers think. I think we've reached a crisis point this season. I really do. I mean, you can look at 3 defeats in isolation and say, okay, 3 defeats there, one of them's to Liverpool. That's not a shameful thing. Yeah. Well, but in the wider scheme of things,
is it not? Because you look at that Liverpool team. No Virgil van Dijk. No Mohamed Salah. They had a youth team player. Don't get me wrong, he's doing very good since he's been in Kwanzaa, starting the game. Yeah. Get to 75th minute. They're bringing on youth players in hope that they can take this game back to Anfield. Obviously, I know it's Liverpool. I get that. They're a fantastic club and a fantastic team, but it's a very weakened Liverpool team. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the points I was going to make.
With the squad that we had out today, I believe we should have been more than capable of beating that Liverpool team. They're in the title race with us. I think they'd rather win the Premier League than the FA Cup. Not saying that we can't win the Premier League, but we're the most successful FA Cup team in history. It means a lot more to us as a competition. Absolutely. Just got a super chat here from Joe Wright as well. We are being played. Kroenke's invested for the UEFA Champions League only. I'm not too sure what he means by that, because we've definitely had the investment. What's it, 400 odd million pounds spent in the last 2 seasons. I don't think you can blame the Kroenkes for this sudden downfall out of nowhere. The money's there. We've used the money. Whether we've used it smartly or not, especially this season, is a massive question. And on that money point, we're a team that's forgotten how to score. And one of the big things that you need in order to score is a prolific striker. And all of these names have been mentioned going into obviously now we're in the January transfer window, and we've sort of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. To
me, there's so many things wrong at the moment, and that's why I say I think we've reached crisis point. The results that's the obvious thing to look at the results and say the fact that we've gone out the FA Cup at the first stage today, the fact that we're not scoring goals, the fact that the signings that Arteta made in the summer. One is a long-term injury, that's unfortunate, but then some of the others have not lived up to expectation, to say the least. You've got some guys in the team that have been offered contracts when they could have been moved on. They're not performing. I just think we've reached a real nadir. Something needs to happen desperately, man.
I definitely see where you're coming from in terms of we've reached crisis point. I wouldn't say we're quite there yet. I would say we're on the edge. We are on the edge of crisis. I think in order to reach crisis point, we have to get knocked out of the Champions League as well to eliminate all cup competitions, and we need to completely fall out of that title race. While it doesn't look likely that it's going to happen now, we're definitely still in the race. I think we need to fall well adrift in order for us to have officially reached crisis point.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but for me, it is a crisis. It doesn't mean to say it's the end of the world, because you can reach a crisis and use that as the nadir, meaning that you can start to use this as a way of improving. But certainly for me today, we hit rock bottom.
Absolutely.
And something drastically has got to happen. And the reason why I'm not overly confident is because I'm not confident about this transfer window. The team urgently needs an injection of new energy, quality, and I'm not sure if that's going to be addressed sufficiently in this transfer window.
Absolutely. And just on that transfer window as well, we've just got a few super chats come through here from Whammer74 saying, come on fellas, spending money does not equal success. Chelsea, for example. That's not the point that I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is off of the back of the Kroenke's point. I think the guy had said that the Kroenkes hadn't invested. That's simply not the case. Obviously, I know that spending money doesn't equal success. It's about how you spend that money that's important. You know, Chelsea didn't invest very well. You know, they've spent over £1 billion and you still can't name their strongest.
Well, you've only got to look at today's game as an example of that. We spent 65 million on Kai Havertz, and he was a wash today, man.
Absolutely.
I've got to say that.
Just on Kai Havertz as well, obviously he played up top today. There's a few more super chats coming in here before we get into the callers. Joe Wright said, why haven't we got a striker when we let Aubameyang go? Well, we thought we had the answer in Gabriel Jesus. And you know, what can you do when even the striker himself is saying he's not as prolific as he should be?
And not only that, he's becoming very injury prone.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, let's get straight to it. We got callers, we got a lot of callers, I'm being reliably informed, and I'm sure they're going to want to have their say, and I'll be very interested, myself and Frank, to hear what they've got to say.
Okay.
So we're just processing that.
Just before we do that, there is one more super chat here from Sadiq. It's a striker crisis. The hierarchy needs to invest. It's definitely a striker crisis for me, absolutely. But, you know, I've not been the biggest fan of the Kroenkes over the years altogether, but what I can say is within the last 2-3 years, they've definitely made money available. It's down to the recruitment team and how they spend that money that it becomes an issue, because don't get me wrong, it's only really from last year, from this year especially, that I'm starting to see the issues with how we're investing. You know, we're in a situation where we might not be able to do the business that we need to do in January because of the way that we spent in the summer. You know, £100 million on Declan Rice, that's a massive chunk of the budget gone already. And not to say that's a bad transfer, but you know, it's still a lot of money. And then you look at Kai Havertz, £65 million. It's not looked like a good investment so far.
Up until the last couple of games anyway, Declan Rice has been absolutely outstanding, so I'm not pouring any shade on him whatsoever. He's been brilliant. Kai Havertz has been disappointing, let's be honest. He's had a little bit of an upward trajectory prior to 3 weeks ago, but he's not done that much since, and he'd not done that much before. So but anyway, listen, we've had our say. Let's hear what the callers have to say, and the first caller of today is Emmanuel.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi, how you doing, bro? Where are you calling from, by the way?
United States, Connecticut.
Okay, Connecticut. Yeah, I know Connecticut. Yeah, having been to New York several times, I used to go there quite a bit back in the day. Nice place, Connecticut. Anyway, listen, enough of the pleasantries. Let's get straight to it. You saw the game, beaten at home by Liverpool, third defeat in a row. As I said at the top of the show, 3 games, 3 defeats, 61 shots, only 1 goal. What's your take on it?
My take on it is that it is a crisis, Lori. It is a crisis. Yeah. We cannot be performing like this, not putting the ball in the back of the net. It's a serious, serious problem. And it comes down to multiple facets. We could sit here, we could blame the players. We could say Eddie Nketiah's not doing enough when he's coming on. Zinchenko was just the biggest scapegoat a few weeks ago. Now what are we saying? He's not playing. Who are we going to blame now? Saka's not playing well. Gabriel Martinelli came on. He looked good. Trossard barely getting a sniff in the game. I really wonder what Arteta is thinking when it comes to the subs, because it seems like certain players to him seem untouchable. Why can't Saka get the sub? He was not very good today. He hasn't been good in a while. Havertz, you could have took him out. You could have put Trossard on earlier. He seems too stubborn for his own good at times, and it's a big crisis. The only players I could really say that every week I'm feeling pretty good about is Saliba and Gabriel. I thought Saliba was very good today.
Agreed.
I thought, you know, there's some mistakes here and there, but a lot of these mistakes come from, I feel like the defenders get a little antsy when the players up top, they're not finishing. The midfielders, maybe they're not doing as well. Odegaard has been, to me, very disappointing. But to me, it is a crisis, and it depends what we do in January to salvage our season, because it depends what you guys' goal is. So I'll ask you guys, what do you think our goal should be for the rest of the season?
Well, I'll be honest with you, at the start of the season, I was asked on one of our shows where I thought Arsenal would finish in the season. I did think we would be runners-up to Man City. So I've got to put my cards on the table. I was not one of those that thought we could win the league, but I was hopeful that we could at least definitely get in the Champions League places. I thought we could have a good cup run, and I was hoping for a good run in the Champions League. Now, at the moment, the league, at this point in time, I don't think there's any way we're going to win the league, not with his form. We're out the FA Cup, we're out the Carabao Cup. It's very unlikely that we're going to win the Champions League, let's be honest. And I've got to say, man, right now, I couldn't even be confident that we'll get a Champions League space. Frank?
No, look, I kind of see where you're coming from. My expectations personally were, top 4 and some form of silverware. We're now out of the Carabao Cup. We're now out of the FA Cup, which I expected, as I said it in my fan cam again, as a minimum to win the FA Cup. We've got 2 possible routes of silverware, and it doesn't look likely at this point that we're going to win either of those 2. So for me, top 4 on its own, considering the position we've been in, where we've been challenging for league titles over the last 2 seasons, if we don't get at least second, that for me isn't good enough. And that might be me being a little bit greedy potentially, but that's what I've grown to expect after these last 2 seasons. We've been a fantastic team over the last 2 or 3 years, and it's just silverware.
See, to me, that's not greedy. Sorry to cut you off. That's not greedy.
That's fine. I'm glad that you have that opinion. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad.
Oh, it's not greedy because when people come out and say it and criticize, say the manager, the coach, the club for not pushing for all these trophies, a lot of times online it's, oh, you're greedy, oh, you're a fake fan, oh, you're this and that. When like you said, to me, my expectation this season was to win silverware and compete for the title. Maybe, to me, get past that round of 16 that we've been struggling in the Champions League to get past. So to me, at the beginning of the season, challenge for the Premier League, win some sort of silverware, because that's why, to me, it's a crisis. Because now we're out of the 2 best chances we had to win a trophy was the Carabao Cup. We fought our way out of that at West Ham. And now at home to Liverpool without Van Dijk, without Salah. They're bringing kids on, guys I've never even heard of, number 67, 72, guys we never heard of.
2 interns, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Them man are bringing on interns on our ground in front of our fans.
We say that, but I did find out whilst doing the stream after we mentioned the whole interns, one of those guys was actually Bolton's player of the season last season.
Yeah, but
I see what you mean. But there was one that was Bolton, a little bit more experienced than he looked to have been. So just for context.
I'd never heard of them man there before. Yeah. And when Klopp brought them on, he was smiling. Do you know that? When Klopp brought them 2 men on, he was smiling. It's almost like the man was taking a piss, thinking, yeah, man. And look, they've ended up beating us comprehensively on our own ground. First round of the FA Cup. I know it's the 3rd round, but for the Premier League clubs, it's the 1st round. Just not good enough. And I agree with the caller. We have reached a crisis point and something drastic needs to happen. And what sort of makes me slightly forlorn for the immediate future anyway is that if you look at the transfer window coming up, I can't see how they're going to address it, because let's be honest, Ivan Toney is not going to come to Arsenal in January anyway, maybe in the summer, but definitely not now. We don't seem to be linked with anybody else, and the club are talking about prioritising a left back when we need goals. So, but listen, bro, you do make some very good points, and I do agree with you. Actually, it is a crisis point. But we've got a load of other callers, so we've got to move on swiftly. Yeah. But thank you very much, bro. And please call back. Please call back.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Nice one.
Yeah. So what we've got, obviously, Laurie, there was a call there. We got a few super chats to go through here, and apologies if we miss anything, by the way, guys. The super chats are coming in like crazy, so we are trying our best to definitely get these in. Super chat here from Shugs Delight. I don't know if I pronounced that right. 3 defeats, 2 of which we dominated, and people want Arteta out. Idiotic. Calm down, everyone. We do need addition up front, but it's not crisis mode yet. What do you make of that, Laurie?
I beg to differ. Yeah. Let me make it clear. I'm not asking for the manager to be sacked. I want to state that very clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can the manager do better? Of course he can. Just like the players, he needs to up his game as well. But I'm not asking for him to be sacked. I'm simply acknowledging that we've reached a very low point in the season and things need to improve drastically. So when I say crisis point, I'm not talking about crisis as in, we're relegation threatened, but in terms of what we would reasonably deem to be our overall achievements for the season. Yeah, absolutely. They are looking a long way away from that right now. But anyway, we've got another caller. Lamar's on. We'll be interested to hear what he has to say.
How's it going, Lamar?
What's going on, guys? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Do you agree, certainly me anyway, I think it's a crisis point. Frank is dejected.
Approaching crisis.
Approaching, okay. What do you think? Are we being reactionary, or am I being reactionary? Do you agree, Frank, or do you have an entirely different view?
I think crisis is a strong word, but I think if someone said it is a crisis, you can definitely see where we're coming from. I mean, like, I remember watching the first game of the season against Forest, and we scored 2 decent goals, and then we conceded one near the end, and then since then it's been the same thing for the whole season for me. It's just a continuation from the start, man. I mean, we haven't played well for the whole year, man. So I can't see where it's going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree. I mean, the first half, to be fair, we did make a good start. We looked bright, we looked energetic. I was quite hopeful, but as minutes went on and we didn't score, I said on the stream, I'm worried now because we've not scored in the first half. You're not going to be able to dominate Liverpool for the whole 90 minutes. They are going to come back at us. We have to make sure now that we don't concede. And then we go and concede, let's face it, a sloppy goal. Kivior's the wrong side there, gets his header wrong. And from the minute I'll be honest with you, bro, from the minute we went a goal down, I'm looking at that game, I'm thinking, you know what? It's going to be very difficult for us to turn this around. Frank?
No, absolutely. Goals, you're going to say something there?
I'm going to say it's the hope, man. I mean, we get these last minute goals over the last 10 minutes, but it's everyone says it's not sustainable, and it's finally coming back to bite us. I mean, we can't keep doing this week in, week out, waiting for a Havertz 85th, 86th, 95th minute goal every week. It's not going to cut it.
Absolutely.
Where you want to be.
Obviously, when you say that as well, there was a super chat here from No Context, Richard D. Hall. I just want to know what you think of this. We haven't invested properly in the forward line. We signed 2 forward players in 4 years, those 2 players being Jesus and Trossard. Saka and Martinelli have no competition. All Liverpool forwards do. How do you think we address that?
I mean, obviously, the main talking point is obviously Tony, innit? So, I mean, but is that a realistic thing? I mean, a lot of people are saying maybe Tony for next year, but I mean, how long have we been saying next year, next season, wait for the next break? I mean, we've got to do something. I want to do something.
It's always next. I get what
we're next season FC, man. I'm tired of it. It's got to be done now. I mean, I'm hearing rumours every day about of signings. I mean, like what's the guy from Juventus, Vlahovic? I mean, guys like that, but I just don't think anything can happen this year. To be fair, I'm not hopeful for it at all.
Just a quick question. Myself and Robbie had this conversation. We differed on it. For me, I would accept a short-term solution because I think when you've hit crisis, you have to react. You have to do something. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. That is the definition of insanity.
Just on
we
that,
now, sorry.
Go. Okay,
we now have to act because, as I said, I think we've reached crisis point. We're not scoring, we're conceding at the other end, we're dropping down the table, we're not winning, we're going out of competitions. I think the club need to look at, if they can't get their main targets in, a short-term solution I would accept. I know it's a risk, but they need to do something. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it was today or yesterday, I'm not sure whose video I watched, but I heard someone talk about Karim Benzema on a 6-month loan. I'm not sure if you guys
exactly what I was going to say. So obviously, when you're talking about short-term solutions, you've only really got to realistically be looking at loans because I don't think it's worth spending money on a short-term solution. Obviously, Benzema's a big one that's been mentioned, and if we are going to go down the route of a short-term solution, that would absolutely be the path that I would go down. One that hasn't been mentioned yet, and he's having quite a hard time in Saudi Arabia, and there's a lot of interest from Premier League clubs elsewhere. Roberto Firmino, what would you make of that? Obviously, I know he's not your striker that's going to get 20 goals a season.
After today's game, that's a big question.
This is what, but the question that obviously we know that Roberto Firmino is a different kind of striker. You look at the way he has helped, Salah and Mane during that Premier League winning season so much. Do you think if someone like Roberto Firmino would come in, that would help the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and the likes of Bukayo Saka?
I think at the end of the day, I think bringing someone else in could always benefit. I mean, if it's a loan, I mean, it can't go that bad because you can get him for 6 months. If it don't work out, send them back to where they came from. But I think Firmino, how old is he? I'm not sure how old he is, but I'm not a fan of these older guys leaving the league and then going to those kind of areas like Saudi and then coming back and then maybe it might be like a Willian thing. You come for a little bit of a paycheck and then just dross about for a bit and then it's just another waste of time. So I'm not too sure about that one, but I think maybe the Benzema one could be having for a while, but I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, caller. Listen, thanks very much for your contribution. We've got to move on because, as you can imagine, we've got a lot of callers today. But listen, very appreciative of your call. Please call back. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Take it easy, guys. Yeah,
Nice one. We've got Deanie on. Deanie, got a lot of callers today, so I'm probably not going to be as long as normal, but I know you can articulate your thoughts very well. I think we've reached crisis point. Frank thinks we're approaching crisis point. One or two people said we're being a bit reactionary. Where do you stand on it?
Let me start with this. Arsenal is a club that prides themselves on the Hale End, giving youngsters an opportunity, right?
Yep.
Even Nwaneri has played, 5 minutes of football last season, came on, haven't seen him since. Klopp trusted 2 youngsters to come on in an FA Cup third round game against Arsenal today. Why is it we couldn't trust players like Nwaneri and Kazadrubi in a dead rubber game against PSV that means nothing at all? And we could even try them out today. We haven't even tried them out in the Premier League or in any game since. This is where I question Arteta even more so. For me personally, I'll say this now on record. He's got to the end of next season to deliver something. I'll say that now. He's got to the end of next season. But right now, the situation we're in right now is all too familiar. Again, coming up to February or March, we're almost out of every competition and we're not even sure if we're going to win the Premier League. How many times have we come round to January and we're like, we need to buy something, we need to add something, and then it gets to a point, we're not sure if we've got enough money, or now it's financial fair play. There are people we could even get on loan. There are people that are free agents right now that are free to talk to clubs. If you are a big club, why not even just test Mbappe? Is Mbappe not free to talk to any club right now? Is he not free to talk to any club right now? Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the chat or this, that, and the other, but I'm pretty sure he's free to talk to any club right now. So even if you just give him something to think about, you can sign. There's Boniface. There's how many other strikers are there out there right now that even at least just to finish a couple of chances? Because Laurie, I spoke to you and Turkish after the Brighton game. And I said we can only afford to lose 2 more games this season. We can only afford to lose 2 more.
I remember that call.
We lost against West Ham, but we should have won. We lost against Fulham, terrible performance, and we lost today. Well, we should have won.
Exactly.
How many chances do we need? These training videos where we see these players put the ball in the back of the net, it does not matter. It means nothing if you do not deliver on the pitch, and we are not delivering. Hey, Jesus is injured again. It's unfortunate, but he's injured again. Again, we need a striker. Are we saying that we're going to leave this January transfer window and we're going to hope that Jesus is fit for the rest of the season and suddenly scores at least 15 goals? We're going to hope that if Eddie starts or comes on as a substitute, he's going to score 10 or 15. Martinelli and Saka are going to suddenly find their form from last season and start scoring, 15 or 16 goals. Is it going to happen? Can we actually rely on that right now? No,
I agree. Listen, for me, in patches
as well. And I know Kai Havertz has played well in the last couple of weeks, but that's all these players have done this season. They played in patches. No one's played consistently well. Arsenal haven't played consistently well. We haven't played consistently well, and there's nothing on the horizon. And then, like I said, and this is why I'm saying, for me, it's a crisis point. Some people have said, you're being reactionary, overreacting, blah, blah, blah. No. Because as you said, Dini, I can't see a goal from nowhere. I can't see us doing anything in the transfer window. The vibes is flat right now, and we need to resuscitate the club. We got 2 weeks to do it, and we need to get it done. It's a good thing we have that break now. We have that break now to do something. Yeah. But anyway, Dini, as I said at the start, bro, I've got to, cut you a little short today. You've made your points very well. But we've got a lot of callers. But listen, man, thanks very much. And hopefully next time we speak, it's on a better vibe. One last thing I will say, bar the result, Laurie, I hope you're blessed. Frank, I hope you're blessed. Everyone in the chat, I hope you're blessed. Production, I hope you're blessed. Likewise, everyone, just enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your week, enjoy the next 2 weeks. There's no Arsenal for 2 weeks, so just relax. Thank you, bro. Respect. Take care. Mans. We've got Mans on the line. Hi. Mans, I can see by that look on your face, bro, that you're probably feeling the same way I do. I've said it openly, and I will maintain it. I think we've now hit a crisis point at Arsenal for this season. Frank, not so much, although he thinks we're getting there. What's your thoughts?
Well, if you think we've hit a crisis point and you think you being reactionary, wait till you hear what I've got to say.
This is going to kick off. I can hear this.
This could be incendiary. Let's go.
I've tried really hard to support the players that he's brought in. I've tried to support him as a manager. I've tried to support the style of play he's adapted this season. At some point, I even came here and said I've learned to fall in love with the way we're playing, because I thought, we're getting the results, we're scoring goals, we're controlling the games. We're not bombing full forward. We're saving ourselves for the second part of the season, which is the feeling I've been getting. Right now, when I close my eyes and I have a vision of Arsenal lifting a Premier League trophy or Arsenal lifting a Champions League for the first time ever, I don't see Mikel Arteta as a manager in that vision. I don't see these players. Kai Havertz, I don't see him as a player in that team. And I don't see Bukayo Saka in that team. And I can go on.
Wow,
it's just
that's a big
it's been
call.
No, I don't. I know it sounds shocking what I've just said, but
Just to intervene here, obviously we mentioned about being reactionary. That for me is a very strong opinion, especially the Bukayo Saka point.
I can see by your face. Yeah,
I'll be real with you. I can't agree with you on the Bukayo Saka point. I think we're looking at a potential club legend here if he just finds his form again. Oh, you mentioned about being reactionary and stuff like that. How long would you say you've held this opinion of Mikel Arteta? Because if you think about it, it was all fairly still positive up until Christmas. So would you not say you're being slightly reactionary if it's only since after Christmas that we've
before the season started, when everybody sort of makes their evaluation, like how far to give the manager and all that, because we did bottle the league last season, also thanks to him, and also thanks to players like Bukayo Saka and a few other players I can name. I said, when he brought Havertz, I think he's going to die on that hill. I will give him until the end of this season, and I did say that I will give him until the end of the season, and my expectations are, if you're not going to win one of the two big trophies, you better get very, very close to winning it. So closer than last season. So, if he's not going to win the league, then the league has to be done by, game 37 and 38, and it better go like by 1 point or goal difference. Or if you don't win the league, you get to the Champions League semifinals or final. You get this. We need to see progression, and we're seeing regression right now. And that's not just up to him. He's a rookie manager. He's obviously going to make every single manager, all the top managers in the world that exist right now. They've all made mistakes when they've just started their managerial careers, and that's what he's doing. And that's why I don't see him as a manager of Arsenal that's going to win the league or going to win the Champions League. Bukayo Saka has a lot of ability. We all know this. There's not a single fan in the world that says Bukayo Saka doesn't have the ability. He doesn't have the mentality to become what we need him to become. He just doesn't have it. That's why we're trying to protect him by asking PGMOL to protect him and all that. I don't see any other clubs trying to do that.
Yeah,
I see wingers like him getting fouled by fullbacks, centre backs, foul after foul after foul. Grealish, you can make a whole list.
Even Jordan Ayew from Crystal Palace.
Jordan Ayew from Crystal Palace. But we're the only ones asking to protect this kid. And I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking, all right, you've had a bad game. You've had 2 bad games. Show us a reaction today. Show us a reaction. For me, this game was not as important from the FA Cup point of view, because I did say that FA Cup for me is not that relevant this particular season. I'm not looking to win the FA Cup this season. I'm looking at Champions League or I'm looking at the league, because that's what we haven't won in a very long time. Champions League we've never won ever. And that's why this game was important to me, because we were playing Liverpool. We played them in 3 weeks, and we could have sent a message today. We could have beaten them today, and we could have sent a message by saying, listen, you're going to have a tough game when you're going to come in here in 3 weeks, and instill doubts in their heads, which would happen if we would have beaten them 2-3-0, which we could have. But we don't have the players. We don't have the mentality. We put Havertz up front.
Yep. I definitely get the gist of your call. I apologise for being
no worries
and cutting you off. It's just that we've got so many callers. But you've made your points clear, and we thank you for that. And hopefully we'll speak to you again soon. And there's hopefully better things to talk about. But cheers, man.
Take care.
Nice one.
Yeah. Take care.
Menondra, I understand you got some thoughts on the front three, or certainly the attacking players.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's been the same since. I mean, to be honest, it's been the same since the beginning of the season. I don't know how we are surprised, because people talk about we create chances all the time. I don't know how it's possible to create. I guess you can always create more chances, but Saka has a clear shot. So does Havertz. I mean, not today Martinelli, but even Martinelli does. But we don't score. And for me, it's like it's been the same since the beginning of the season. And the games we win is somehow they do their job. And I'm one of the biggest Saka fan, but honestly, like this season has been so bad compared to like Saka always levels up every season, but this season he has gone down.
No, I mean, listen, you make a good point, and I'll give you a stat here that one of our production team gave me before the game, and I'll read it verbatim. So, our last 3 games, 3 defeats, as you know, 61 shots at goal, and only 1 goal scored. So that pretty much bears out everything you said. Wow. But where I'm going to differ from you slightly is that, although I think we all agree that Saka has not been at his most productive, certainly not been in his best form, actually he's posting much better numbers than a lot of the other guys in the team. So what do you think we can do to address this slide, arrest this slide even?
That's the thing, like the numbers, right? What does the number matter if the ball is not going to the net? See, I rather have lower number and have a goal than have a higher number and not have a goal. My point, just to correct it, my point is that, okay, Saka is not playing his best football. I think we can all agree with that. But if you look at the numbers that he's posting, they are actually not bad. So if the other guys were chipping in with their numbers, then we would be in a much better place right now. So, okay, I accept Saka's been under par, but surely you got to look at all across that front line has not been good.
Yeah, just for context on that as well. Obviously, we're looking at a Bukayo Saka that in 27 appearances this season has got 9 goals and 12 assists. That's 21 goal contributions in 27 games. Just for context, by the way, since we're having this conversation. So,
and the next nearest to that is way down the pecking order, way down.
I know what you guys mean. I'm not only hounding Saka. Like I said, when I first started, I said all the attackers, right?
Right.
When I go at Saka is because I rely on Saka. I mean, most of our fans do. Than every other player. Like, let's be honest here. Like, Saka is our star boy, right? And it's been very disappointing to see him like not like score the chances that he gets. Normally, he always buries those chances, and it's like he has turned into some. I don't know. Like he's not even playing different. He plays how he normally plays. It's just literally the last finish that he doesn't make. And it's not only him. Like we can talk about Havertz all day too, but we can talk about Martinelli, but not today, but like previous games. But it's like the attack, they're not working. Like to put it simply, they're not working. And our rest of the play is the same. Our midfield, I mean, Odegaard, I know somebody, I think the first one said like Odegaard has been disappointing. I don't think so. I mean, he's creating chances. Like that's his job. And our attackers are not finishing the chances. So how is it that we can blame Odegaard, whose job is to create chances? And let's be honest here, we have had a lot of chances today and last, not many in Fulham, but a lot in West Ham too. And we just didn't convert. And that's how we end up losing.
Just quickly, because I've got to move it on. But just in closing, you highlighted the need for a striker. Is there anyone out there? I mean, we've discussed Ivan Toney to death, and let's be honest, it does look like we're going to get him. Is there anybody that you see out there on the horizon that you'd like to see coming that you think could do a good job up top?
I mean, I was always in for Ivan Toney. I don't really actually know if there's going to make a big difference because we always say that, and I do want striker, but I feel like we're not taking the chances, and we just play around the ball, and it's just. When there's a clear chance to shoot, they just pass it. Yep. And so I think it's more of like finding the fluidity, but I don't even know how that's possible because it's been the same the whole season. Like our attack has been the same the whole season.
Yeah. Very predictable and at the moment misfiring. But anyway, listen, bro, thank you very much for your call. Some good points made there. Guys. And hopefully speak to you again soon under better circumstances.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Jack.
Hello,
see by that look on your face, you're not happy, bro.
I ain't happy at all.
Yeah. Right, take it away. Today's performance.
I just saw that the performance weren't too bad. I thought we played well. I just didn't understand the substitutions and the timing of the substitutions.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. Also, why does he not trust Trossard to play in that 9 position?
100% agreed.
Yeah, Trossard should be given a go to play in number 9 position because he is clinical. He can score goals. We know this.
Yeah.
I do not think, if I'm honest, we're going to do anything in this window. And that's just my opinion. Because he's already said there could be a possibility of not doing anything. And also, I just don't think... I think striker's a priority, but I also think we need another fullback. We definitely need another midfielder to come in, and we ain't going to make all them moves in January. So, if I'm honest, I agree with you, Laurie, in the fact of I think this is the crisis point now.
Yeah, I think so as well. And on that, the first point on the Trossard thing, I must say that personally, I don't like Trossard as a number 9, although I've got no problem in trying it. Where I do have a problem with Arteta today, I think he brought Trossard on the 88th minute, which means that he had less than 6 minutes of football. What did the manager really expect Trossard to do at that point? It's almost an insult to bring him on at that time for me. He should have come on way early.
He could have done.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Smith Rowe. Why is Smith Rowe getting chances?
Yeah. Especially when you consider that the front line are not firing. And we're not getting goals. And Smith Rowe, a couple of seasons ago anyway, was doing really well. So if you're going to retain these players at the club, man, give them a proper chance to make an impact. You know what I mean? Bringing them on with 6-10 minutes and all that to go. I mean, even Liverpool today, they brought on what I call their interns on. Them man come on in the 75th minute, where there was still time for them to make an impact on the game. So you're saying to Trossard, top Premier League player, Belgian international, you're bringing him on in the 88th minute. Realistically, what are you expecting him to do? Frank?
Nothing is the answer to that question, Laurie. Exactly. For me, the way... especially with the way Havertz played today, and obviously I have to single him out because in terms of the way... Havertz should not have got as much minutes as he did today, and I was one of those that were calling out for Trossard to start in the position that Havertz started in today, in that 9 position, because the reason that I believe Havertz would work there is because in the absence of Gabriel Jesus, if you look at the style in which Gabriel Jesus and Leandro Trossard played, it's the most like for like replacement for this game. And I think this game, especially against Liverpool at home, this game was screaming out for a Gabriel Jesus or a Leandro Trossard. So to only give Leandro Trossard 6 minutes is diabolical. And
it's almost an insult. It's almost an insult.
And I've been very critical of the past, and he keeps making this mistake over and over again, making substitutions too late. Why wasn't Kai Havertz taken off at half time? It's stuff like that.
Laurie, Frank, just quickly, would you be in favour of maybe seeing the Martinelli up top?
I think it's getting to that situation where... You know what I think? I don't really think Martinelli up top is going to work long term anyway. You know what I think he should do? I think that he should get the scouting team together and gamble on a short term solution, because like I said, we've reached a crisis point, and when you reach a crisis point, in no matter what form of life, you have to take action. Because as I said before, if you keep doing the same things and expecting different results, that is a definition of the word insanity. They've got to act.
And that brings me to a point that I want to make, It's like Spurs, for example, How they just pulled out of nowhere, pulled Timo Werner out there. I know he's not the answer, but that would have been a good little plug for us.
Exactly,
just to get that extra attacking bit of threat. He's on loan 6 months, short term.
Exactly. I'm just in closing, because we've got to move on. I think you made a very good point there, because a lot of people look at that Timo Werner thing and think, no, that's... But you know what? Obviously, Tottenham see that there's a space there that needs to be filled, and they've taken a risk. Now, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least they're trying to do something, and that's what we need to do. We need to act. But listen, thank you very much for your call, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Nice one, guy. Michael, this could get...
Hey, guys. look, I don't think we have to sign an Mbappe or a Benzema. What we have to do is get on the training ground and get the players that we do have to play more like Mbappe and Benzema. But I see a huge amount of intentionality and discipline and planning in our progression of the ball up to the box. But it's so obvious that Arteta just wants to increase our XG and figures that if we have enough opportunities, some of those shots are going to go in. But what we need is like more deliberate planning about exactly how that goal is going to score once we get the ball up to the edge of the box. So what I want to see from Arteta is like the same kind of intentionality and planning that causes everything to move up forward into the midfield to generate actual goals in the box. But when Reece Nelson and Havertz and Saka keep like shooting the ball over the bar, you can't just treat that as a statistical outlier. You've got to treat that as a failure that has to be addressed. That's my only point about the front three. So I have no Shakespeare for it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You take it away, bro.
No Shakespeare today. Thomas Paine writes a pamphlet called The Crisis. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer supporter and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the defense of their club, but he that stands by it now will deserve the victory to come. Honor to the man that can smile in trouble. It is the business of little minds to shrink, but I see no real cause for fear. If we persevere, we have the prospect of a glorious issue. It is only through cowardice that we drown in a deluge of evils. Come on, you Gunners. See you guys next month.
Wise words, and I'll take from that we're in a bit of a crisis, but we need to act. But listen, bro, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Soon.
Good.
Matt, how are you doing, bro?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Could be better after a performance like this, but
I know this is my first time on. I feel like this is the worst time to come on, but I'm happy to be on. Thank you.
No, man. I think we've reached a crisis point in terms of this season. Anyway, I'll be happy to, or be keen to hear what you think about that.
Yeah. I actually fully agree with you. I think that we've kind of taken a little bit of a slow start, but I think everybody's been kind of talking about the front three and the players and everything like that. But I kind of wanted to touch on Mikel Arteta. I feel like this day has always kind of been coming for me. I kind of never been fully convinced by, what he's done. I think that we've been in this situation time and time again. I think after the Villarreal Europa League, maybe the bottling top 4 2 years ago, bottling the title last year. I think that we've been here before, and I think that, you look at how we performed last season with how many goals we scored. I think it was our record amount of goals in the Premier League ever. And I just don't understand how, you can come from from last season as to what we achieved goals-wise and what we've achieved now up until this point where we've scored a substantial less amount of goals, and you can blame the players. I just don't see that. I just don't see it like that. I see it as a tactical issue. I see it as the manager being extremely naive and extremely stubborn. We've seen that with Pep before in the past, and I think he's trying to be a mirror image of Pep. But Pep has credit in the bank to where he can be naive, he can be stubborn, because at the end of the day, he's the greatest manager of all time, up there, of course, like the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and, of course, Arsene Wenger. But I just don't see where we go from here. I don't understand. Like, we knew what we wanted in the summer. We knew what we needed in the summer. We needed a 6. We've said for the longest time Jesus isn't a prolific 9. So you go and you splash 65 million on the like of Kai Havertz, and maybe even the likes of 35 million on the likes of Fabio Vieira, and 30 million on the likes of David Raya. Did we need those? Did we need that? Now we're in a situation in January where we're screwed, and we're talking about FFP. I don't want to hear about FFP anymore. I don't want to hear about it, because we had the funds. 105 million on Declan Rice was a great signing. I think he's world class. I think we can see what he can do. But then, the Timber injury, it's unfortunate. But did we need David Raya? Did we need Kai Havertz? Now we're in a situation where I'm not going to
single out David Raya. I don't think he's been as bad, but we saw the performance from Ramsdale today. I thought he looked phenomenal. Actually, I actually really thought he was our man of the match. I thought he was our man of the match. So, did we need to waste 30 million? Did we need to? That's 95 million pounds right there on the likes of Kai Havertz and the likes of David Raya. Now we can't sign a striker. Now, like Laurie said, I think we're in a crisis mode. I honestly don't know where we go from here.
I'm going to say this, that's a great call. You made. I find it very hard to disagree with literally anything you said there. And I'm not just saying that because you agree with what I said about us being in crisis. You've made some very plausible points.
I appreciate that. I wanted to get on here for a while. I love tuning into you guys, and I listen to you. I just feel like, it has to be said now. I don't know where we go. I truly do not know where we go from here.
Yeah, the situation has become drastic because, let's look at it logically. So this is Arteta's, I think it's his 5th season. He had 2 8th place
full
finishes.
Season for 4.5, 5 seasons.
Yeah. So two 8th place finishes, a 5th place, so both of those outside the Champions League places. A really good year last year in the Premier League anyway, 2nd. But then that comes with expectation. And as you quite rightly pointed out, he spent a lot of money. He didn't address certain areas of the pitch where we needed to. And we trusted him, and now it's imploding. So it's only right that we ask these questions.
And that's my situation as well. Like, I think we sit here and we kind of look at it like, what is success at the football club? You say this on Twitter or online, and everybody calls you a fake fan, saying, well, if Arteta doesn't win something, he has to go. And, oh, you're a fake fan, you shouldn't support Arsenal. I'm from the States, of course, so I hear that all the time. I've never been to the Emirates. I've never been this. I'm not shut up, you're an American, all this other stuff. But I feel like it's a proper question to ask because you go off of winning trophies and winning things. You look at the best managers in the world. When Klopp was in his era with Liverpool, he's won everything, but City won all those titles. But we can still say that Jurgen Klopp is a phenomenal coach, one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen, because in the time where Pep dominated, he went and won an FA Cup, a Club World Cup, a Carabao Cup, a Champions League. Mikel Arteta has not gotten close to these. We should have won the Europa League at least twice under this manager. We should have won the FA Cup. We're throwing away numerous trophies. We're throwing away the Carabao Cup. We're throwing away the FA Cup. How is that acceptable as a coach? You have 4 trophies to win in a season and you can't win one of them with some of the... I'm hearing shouts that I love Saka. I love Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. You should be winning trophies with these players. They are going to leave. They are going to leave. They are going to look at the likes of Manchester City and Real Madrid and say, look at Vinicius Jr., look at Rodrigo over there at Real Madrid. They're winning Champions Leagues, and I'm here hugging the touchline, getting my ass kicked every week, and I'm winning nothing. With
Jimmy Traore, you can add Jimmy Traore to that. But listen, bro, as much as I really welcome your call, and I agree with pretty much everything you said here. We do have to move on, but listen, make sure you call back.
I apologize for ranting on. I apologize.
No. Listen, you made some great points.
You're right at this stage.
You've made some great points, and I do agree with you, by the way, that Ramsdale was our man of the match today. But listen, take it easy, enjoy the little break, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Right. Okay. I've got another caller on the line here. Sorry, if you could just tell us your name, where you're from.
Yeah, it's Hindsight. I'm from Finsbury Park.
Okay,
Finsbury
nice
Park,
one.
right?
Nice one. Just down the road.
Nice one.
We're familiar.
Yeah, just down the road. How you doing? Yeah, let me just kick off here. Number one, who is Saka's understudy? If you were Arteta and you're a Premier League game, and like today, Saka was active, but he didn't have the finishing touch. Who are you gonna put in for him? Who are you gonna put in? Okay, cool. Let's take Saka off. Who are you going to put in?
Nelson.
Well, listen, man. You could try and make changes. You could have brought on Trossard. You could have brought on.
Okay, you can bring on Trossard. That's true. But is he a natural right winger?
Nelson's
yeah, but
there.
you know what it is, bro. I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nelson's there, and even in this game, could you put Nelson on? You couldn't swap him with anybody. Who else are you going to put in? Exactly. You couldn't swap him with anybody. You can put Nwanueri on.
Yeah, but what do you say about this, bro? What do you say about this?
Yeah.
And I said this at the time, so I'm not being wise after the event. If you look at our bench today compared to Liverpool's, our bench, I'm pretty sure we'd all agree, is a lot stronger than theirs. So really and truly, it's the manager's job to come up with these permutations. You know what I mean? All I'm going to say, I'm looking at that team today.
That was a fairly strong team. You look at Liverpool's team, they were shorn of Salah, Van Dijk, and who was the other guy that we were missing today?
It's a good question.
Salah, Van Dijk,
Salah.
Szoboszlai.
3 of their major players this season, yeah? So they were a weakened team. They're playing away from home. Don't forget, Liverpool playing in a Carabao Cup semi-final later on this week. So they're trying to juggle all these different competitions as well. We should really have won today, or at the very least, we should not have lost. And the fact that we've done so, and Liverpool come with a weakened team, a weakened bench. I mean, hell, the guy brought on 2 interns, as I call them, and they still beat us. So do you not think that was a major loss today?
It was a major loss, but I don't think it was about the bench, Laurie. I think it was about the lack of potency that we had across the front 3. How many touches did Havertz have before he could try and take a shot off? He's going left, shoot.
I do agree with that.
Saka. Everyone was lacking potency.
They were.
And that's why we've all said for a long time that we need a new striker, and we do. And what that guy said before about the Timo Werner thing, yeah, okay, cool, it's not the best idea, but I get what he means. It is plugging a hole. Yeah. I mean, and does it show? Does it show now? Yeah. Does this now show after 4 or 5 years in his job? Does Arteta does the lack of experience now start to show? Does it now start to show that, okay, yeah, I can create a good team, but can I actually win things and take them over the line? Is this where the lack of experience starts to bud?
I'm going to say, I think you're right. Questions do need to be asked. I mean, no one is above criticism. No one is above being questioned. We all showered him with praise last season when he turned in a very good performance, certainly in terms of the Premier League. Yeah. I've always said, and I'm on the record as saying this, that his record in cup competitions could be better. But if I'm being fair to him, to get second last year when, let's face it, no one really expected that is really good. And we give him credit for that. But also...
We do give him... Sorry.
Yeah, also with that comes the weight of expectation. And he's been given money to spend. And they always say that giving a manager money to spend can be a blessing and a curse. Because yes, it's all right to get the money and spend it. But if that is not materialised in terms of results on the pitch and trophies and stuff like that, people are going to go back and look at your signings and think, actually, what was he doing? You know what I mean? And the Declan Rice signing was an excellent signing. No, there's no getting away from that. The Timber signing looked to be a very good signing. Unfortunately, he got injured. But if you're looking at some of the other signings, Fabio Vieira, Havertz, Raya, you start to think to yourself, could that money have been spent better elsewhere? Frank, have you got anything on that? We're going to bring you back, by the way.
Yeah, no, it definitely could have spent. It could have been better spent elsewhere. I think someone of the previous caller tried to make the point about David Raya, and I don't really think you can include him in this, obviously, because we only spent £3 million initially, and the £27 million is optional. But regardless, I got the point that he was trying to make. £65 million for Kai Havertz was not the move. It wasn't the move. You look at players that were better players that are doing well this season, like Mohamed Kudus, for example, that we could have got for much cheaper than the £65 million. However, we seem to be adamant on Kai Havertz, and 22 appearances, 5 goals and 1 assist later, we're starting to see the effects of that, because we're in a, for lack of a better phrase, shit situation now, where we could have done with the Havertz money on a striker. So that's my take on it.
Let me just ask the caller. We've got transfer window. Well, it's already started. Is there anyone out there that you'd like to see come in, or any positions that you'd like to see filled in particular? Or would you accept a short-term solution?
I can't remember what the situation is with Osimhen here and there and everywhere. I don't know. I can't remember what it is because it happens so often. I would have liked Osimhen personally, but I'm not sure if he is the answer in the end. People talk about Vlahovic, not sure about them. I think we need an understudy for Saka for sure. For sure. I heard they're talking about Michael Olise. He might be an idea as well to bring into the right wing. Needs that cover. I feel that squads have completely figured this out, especially with Saka is the only option going down the right. What are they going to do? Oh, they're just going to give it to Saka. And I feel that Saka needs to take a seat back and watch the game live, so he can, you understand, like, you can have the experience, and that's great. But also, when you just sit back and watch, you develop a different understanding, don't you? And I feel like he hasn't had enough of that. I think in this season we need that. I don't know about the left back role. I don't know if we're going to bring in someone there. I'm not sure. Left back, I think. I don't want to be down on Zinchenko too much personally, because I think what he offers is a lot, but again, that defensive role, everyone is always attacking down that right wing now as well, aren't they? Because they think, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to be able to do something against Zinchenko. So it's that another hole into plug.
Thanks very much for that. Very good call.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
You must call back again soon. Take care. We've got one more caller.
Take care. Bye.
We've got Geronimo, and he's going to be our last caller of the day. And I've heard Geronimo speak before. He speaks very eloquently, very articulate. He's also very honest and forthright. Right, so you've seen the game, you've seen the result. That's 3 defeats on the spin. I'm saying we've reached crisis point. We're not necessarily in a crisis, but we've reached crisis point. Frank is a little slightly more reserved than me. He thinks we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet.
Close.
What's your thoughts?
I mean, there's a techno song that has a phrase that I really like. It says, "Sometimes to find the light, you must first touch the darkness."
Wow.
And right now we're deep into the darkness.
Yeah, I think you're right, bro. I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, when I first said that at the end of the game, 1 or 2 of my colleagues looked at me and I was like, "Oh, you think it's that bad?" I said, "Yeah, it is that bad, bro." I mean, like 3 defeats on the trot. We're not scoring goals. There's no confidence in the team. As soon as we go a goal down in games, I'm really thinking,
head drops.
This looks like we're going to lose. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, people tend to look at crisis as in relegation. Well, I'm talking about our season. I mean, I think one of the guys on the set said the season could be done now. To me, that's a crisis point. So how do we address this? What have we got to do to turn things around? We've got a 2-week break. What do you like to see the manager do in the interim to get things back on track?
I think we're missing a lot of creativity, most of all. And I think James has said it a lot of times in the watch-alongs, he thinks Odegaard isn't a number 10 or creative. He would be more suited as a number 8. So why not go for Dybala? That his release clause is £13 million.
That's a really good shout. I'm glad you've said that, actually, because I saw that on Instagram the other day. That could be something that we could...
You know what? That is a shout from left field, but actually, I'm kind of liking that suggestion too. If you can't get the striker that we obviously need, then
yeah, I mean, he could be...
Sorry to cut you off.
He's like a better Jesus.
He can play there. He can play in striker as well.
And on the wing and everything, he's just like a better Jesus.
Shout.
Yeah,
he has experience. He's won multiple leagues with Juventus. He's won the World Cup, Copa America, and everything. Or, I mean,
that is a good shout. But you know what? I hear it. It's very plausible. But me, I'm like, if I'm Arteta, I'll be saying, listen, coaching staff. Sorry, not coaching staff. Scouting staff. Find me a striker. And listen, I know everybody is in the market for the same type of player, but these guys, I would imagine, get a lot of money, and they've got contacts all over the world. There must be somebody who can come in, even if it's a short-term solution. People talk about Benzema. I don't know how realistic that is, but we need somebody to... Because I actually do think we're creating chances. It's just that we're not scoring them. I mean, I refer back to that stat I mentioned earlier in the show. 61 shots on goal 65, and only 1 goal scored. So that suggests that we are creating chances, but we're not taking them. So the need for a striker is desperate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that shout of Benzema, because if you follow the news, I mean, he just fucked off from his team in Saudi Arabia. He just got lost for like 2 weeks. I think he was getting like death threats from the fans or something like that.
Wow.
And so he was like, "Nah, I'm not doing this." I don't know how his situation is right now at the moment, but I think that was like a week or 2 weeks ago that happened.
I mean, he might look at the Premier League as a challenge, because obviously he's never played in this league before. He's been a top player, a world-class player.
And we were close to signing him at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So he might look at this as a challenge that he needs. You know what I mean? Even if Benzema was to come in and get 10, 12 goals, that would serve us well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I mean, and if we're going to go high caliber, I mean, between an Ivan Toney, who's 27, bordering on 28, hasn't played in 6 months, and it's going to be 100 million. I think I would prefer going the extra 20 million for Osimhen.
Yeah, although I think Osimhen is more likely linked with Chelsea than he is with us.
There is a release clause.
He said he wanted to play
50 mil as well.
They say he only wants to play Champions League football. I mean, and Chelsea.
Oh, so that Chelsea. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call. We've got to move things on because we're near closing the show now. But that Dybala one, I like that.
That's a very
maybe get in contact with a club and suggest it to them and see what they say.
Call Jose, call Roma.
Call Edu and say, listen, what do you think of this?
Oh, tell Cecil. Cecil.
I'll let him. Yeah, I know he's got a good relationship with Edu. We'll let him know. But listen, thanks, bro. Thank you very much. And
thank you, guys.
Speak to you again soon. Okay, then. So, Frank.
Yeah.
You've heard from our callers there. We're going to wind things up. The last 5 minutes. That last caller made a decent suggestion actually about Dybala because playing dual role, and it would give us an injection.
Glad that he made that point because that's something I think Fabrizio Romano had tweeted something about the release clause that he's got active. I get he's 30 years old. I get that, but
age is only
a world-class player in his day. Well, it's been a year or two since we've seen that world-class ability. But if we're looking at a short-term solution, right? 13 million euros, which is what, 10 million pounds?
Something like that.
We can get him on a 1.5-year deal. That for me would be that would be a fantastic short-term solution, as long as we then go and get the likes of a Victor Osimhen or an Ivan Toney in the summer transfer window when we haven't got the financial restraints that we do now. For me, having made that point, and I'm really glad he made it, Dybala should be number one option. That's my opinion.
I mean, I must admit, I never looked at that in any real detail before.
Because on top of that, obviously, he's not just a striker. You know, you can play him in that position where Martin Odegaard plays. You can play him in that 9-foot position. I suppose you could, if you really wanted to, you could put him on the wings as well, and that potentially looks at like a Bukayo Saka. A backup option to Bukayo Saka. He's got his left foot. I'm sure he's left-footed. He's played on the wing before.
He's a quality player.
That's a very versatile quality player that's available for a very, very cheap price.
No, listen, man, I'm open to any suggestions because, as I said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So it only concludes me to say that we've got to try and do something in these next 2 weeks to turn things around, because if you let it stay the way it is, it's going downhill, man, and going downhill fast. Because, as I said, today we made a decent start. We should have been a couple of goals to the good. And it's funny in football, if you get 1 or 2 goals, you never know how things can turn around so quickly. So that's why, for me, we've got to try and find a striker worthy of the name to come in, and if not, the likes of the Dybala thing makes sense to me. I'm not one of those people that's talking about left backs and stuff like that. For me, yes, we could do with a left back. Absolutely,
but
we could.
But the
priority.
If we was, for example, in an ideal world, we signed a striker, a midfielder, and a left back. If the striker isn't the first of those to come through, then I'd be slightly concerned. Absolutely. That's the way I look at it. And obviously, just on that striker thing as well, I made the point earlier in the stream, and the chat seems to agree with me a lot, actually. Roberto Firmino.
You know what? My ears did prick up when you mentioned Firmino. Very good player. 2 things though. One, I think he's on the record as saying that if he came back to England, he'd only really be interested in Liverpool. I think he said that some time ago, but whether that,
Fabregas said that, and look how that happened.
Exactly. So you never know with footballers. They say one thing to suit.
In Cec's defence, it was Arsenal that messed him around. So
that's true. The other thing, I wouldn't really call Firmino, even on his best form, a prolific striker. He's not known as a prolific striker.
I think it's very different with Roberto Firmino as well, because what to expect there. And I think the difference, what Roberto Firmino lacks in goals, he more than makes up for in creating chances and assists. And I think what you'll see if we was to bring the likes of Roberto Firmino in, look how well Roberto. This might be slightly controversial as well, but I don't believe that Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane get the numbers they do without Roberto Firmino. So maybe, just maybe, we could see the same results for Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Potentially.
It's an interesting thought. And the one thing we all agree on is that something needs to be done. And the club have a couple of weeks now. There's a short-term midwinter break. And, now is the time to really, put their hands to the wheel and say, we're going to get something sorted, because we can't carry on like this. But listen, Frank.
Recruitment, take some inspiration from FANZONE, pick up the phone,
man.
Make some deals,
make some calls. Let's get it sorted. But anyway, we've got to close. Thanks, Frank, for your input and your knowledge and your insight as always. Thanks everybody that called in today. Really enjoyed the callers. Some really good suggestions here, some really good calls. Thanks everybody for keeping it locked and loaded on AFTV, your one-stop shop for all Arsenal content. And we are out. Take care. See you again in a couple of weeks when hopefully we'll have better things to talk about.
Peace.